All right, welcome into the first episode of the Jordan Watkins Show presented by CardinalSports.com. I'm your host, Ty Spalding. I'm the publisher over at CardinalSports.com on the Rivals Network. Joining me is Louisville wide receiver Jordan Watkins. Jordan, how you doing tonight?
Doing good. How about yourself?
Not too bad, not too bad. This feels weird. We're in a new era of college athletics, and yeah, as though it does feel weird, it's definitely I think going to benefit you all and benefit everyone in college athletics. So what we're going to do with Jordan, we're going to do a 10 to 15 minute episode once a week, starting out where I'm going to ask him some questions, some behind the scenes questions, some questions on how he got to Louisville, things of that nature. And we're going to kind of try and get to know him a little bit better. We were deciding on, what player, we wanted to do this with. A lot of what went into it was the fact that Jordan's a local kid from Butler High School. So we're going to kind of get a local flavor here. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into some questions. I asked some of our subscribers if they had any questions to get things going right off the bat. So we're going to go ahead and dive in. I know a lot of people were wondering if you could kind of walk us through the whole process of backing off from Kentucky and then flipping to Louisville back in high school.
Yeah, man, 100%. This is a question I get asked all the time. And a lot of the times I don't have the time to go into really a lot of detail about it. But with this show, I think it's a good way to go into a lot of detail and explain a lot of things that happened in my recruitment process. I would say the summer before my senior season, I committed to Kentucky. I camped there before anywhere else that summer before. So those are the only pretty much school that really had like a good understanding of my skill set and all of that fun stuff. Because my sophomore season, I ended up transferring to Butler High School from DeSales High School, so I had to sit out that season. And a lot of teams really didn't get to see the real me because junior season is such an important year in high school football because that's pretty much where you get all your recruiting from and all of that fun stuff. So yeah, Kentucky was the only school that really had the I guess the inside scoop on my talents and how I played and all that fun stuff. And then the new coaching staff from Louisville came in, and Coach Brew, he was so ambitious about getting me to Louisville, getting me to camp there. Um, and then I had also received an offer that summer as well. And so going into that thought process, I'm looking and I'm analyzing to see which school would be the best fit for me. I really didn't have a good understanding of what Coach Satterfield and what Coach Brewer were talking about just because I hadn't seen them play a game yet. I hadn't seen them really play a game in the ACC. So, they came from App State, and the competition level is obviously much greater in the ACC. So I didn't really know how their offense would work in the ACC. I didn't know if the scheme would work or if the scheme would fit me itself. But Kentucky had already established that over the years with Coach Stoops and whatnot. So I could physically see how they were going to use me and all of that stuff, comparing me to Lynn Bowden and me. They were wanting me to fill his shoes and then as the season kicked off, and Coach Satterfield and them started playing a lot more games and winning games, I'm like, hey, these guys are the real deal. These guys mean business. I love their scheme. I love the way that they play, and they utilize their receivers and the way they open the field up and they throw the ball deep. And as a receiver, that just catches your eye. And they're in the rebuilding stage. So it's a fresh start for everybody, not just for me coming in as a freshman, but for the players that were there as well prior to me. And so I just seen it as an opportunity. I seen it as a green light. And of course, whenever I'm decommitted from Kentucky. They were not happy. The UK fan base was not happy at all. The coaches were not happy. As you can go back and look at um, the Twitter rant that was brought down upon me and whatnot. So you go and you look and as a player, you're analyzing everything because this is your future. This is what's going to possibly get you to the NFL. This is what possibly is going to set you up for life, not just from a degree standpoint, but from a sports and an athletic standpoint as well. Um, so really, just once I decommitted, I took my time with the decision. I wanted to explore my options, but at the same time, I pretty much knew where I was going to go, and that was Louisville. So I just explored. I looked at some different schools. I'd really just was enjoying the recruitment process because, like I said, it was middle of my senior season. I had a lot more tape because I had to sit out my junior year. So I was really just finally starting to enjoy the recruitment process. And that's something that I had wanted to do from the start because I had committed to Kentucky so early. So me being able to enjoy the recruitment process was a big plus for me. But ultimately, I knew that hey, Louisville is where I want to go, and Louisville is where I need to be if I want to succeed at the next level. So I had ended up committed to Louisville. I had some pretty sad faces, um, but I was happy. I was happy with my decision, and I was happy to be a part of something that was going to be special. And I feel like that's where we're heading this year. We're going to be really special.
That's great insight there for all the fans wondering what went on behind the scenes. Staying in the kind of high school topic, um, is there something about kids from Louisville wanting to get away and go to a different state, leave the city? What from a fan perspective, what goes into a local kid wanting to stay and play for his hometown school?
I think it's really everything. For me, it was pretty much about, like I'd say, Coach Satterfield and the whole coaching staff really just made me feel at home. And they made me feel like I was a top priority throughout the whole time that they got here. Because with the old Louisville coaching staff, I didn't feel like I was a priority for them. Me being in their backyard, I barely got any recognition from them, and that really drove me away from Louisville for a really long time. And I had a grudge. Um, I had a grudge held against Louisville, even when Coach Satterfield and them got here, because I felt like, hey, you know, me being me being a recruit in my own home, my own city, and it's like they don't even want me. So
Yeah.
for a long time, I had held a grudge against Louisville, but then Coach Satterfield got here, and that grudge immediately went away. Just because they made me feel welcomed and whatnot. So I think that's a big thing about me is that I just felt welcomed. And everybody's different in the recruiting process. Everybody gets told different things in the recruitment process. That's because it just comes with it. That's just how the recruiting process goes. Um, but yeah, I just felt like they wanted me. You know what I mean? And it obviously worked out for me, and it could work out for a lot of people as well. Anytime I get to talk to a recruit that's from Louisville, I just encourage them like, hey, this is your home city, and I promise you, it's nothing like playing from your home city. Looking up in the stands and seeing people and putting huge smiles on their faces. Like yesterday, I just went to a lady's birthday party, and she was turning 91 years old, and she was a diehard U of L fan for pretty much her whole life, and uh, and that just made me feel like it made me feel warm inside because I got to put a smile on her face, and that's she'll remember this birthday for uh, many years to come.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, quick question. You talked about Coach Satterfield and his staff. With you being from Louisville, do they lean on you at all to kind of work your connections in the city, or have they, leaned on you at all to kind of help recruit the city, or how has that worked out? I know, you and Marshawn is the city of Louisville is Coach Satterfield and his staff, are they in your eyes prioritizing the city and the recruits that we have in our own backyard?
Yeah, like I said before, it's always a good thing to put them in their put that in their ear and whatnot, and get kids to come to Louisville because that's what we want. You know what I mean? That's the ultimate goal. We want everybody that we can to stay home. Um, and that's like it's a huge priority to get kids to stay home like that. And Coach Satterfield loves Louisville kids. Like we have a lot of Louisville kids that are now starting to realize like, hey, you know what I'm saying? This is a winning program. And if you want to come here, if you come here, you're going to win games and you're going to be utilized. So, yeah.
Speaking of winning games and utilizing receivers, we had a lot of people ask, questions along the lines of, what's it gonna be like replacing Tutu and Dez, and what is the passing attack going to be as prolific as it was a couple years ago? For fans out there wondering, what do you expect from the offense with Tutu and Dez leaving? Malik, had a struggled at times last year. What do you expect out of Malik and the wide receiver group as a whole this year?
I expect big things out of all of us. Me, Malik, and the whole receiver group, as well, because somebody's gonna have to step up and fill them shoes because those are two big shoes to fill. You know what I mean? Two NFL picks that got taken fairly early for a wide receiver. So, those are really big shoes to fill. So I expect a lot of things out of me, Malik, and the whole receiver group, and I expect the ball to be passed around and shared a lot this year. A reference that I like to go towards is Baker Mayfield and the Browns. So you have a big receiver like Odell Beckham, and for Baker Mayfield being a young quarterback and whatnot, you feel like you have to force the ball to him a lot because he needs those catches, he needs those receptions. So he's wanting those receptions. So you pretty much feel obligated to throw to him. When and then when what tragically happened whenever he had got hurt towards ACL, you could see the offense spread a lot. You have to have a receiver step up and make plays, different receivers. So it forces him to look at the whole field instead of just looking at that one receiver or those two receivers as Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry. So I expect really big things. I expect a lot of receivers to get a lot of catches and a lot of receivers to be involved because, it opens up the field for Malik. Obviously, he's going to have that go-to guy, but that he feels comfortable with and whatnot. But I definitely feel like that the ball will be shared a lot this year between the receiver group.
So you mentioned, the play calling a little bit. Dwayne Leffer was the OC last year. Scott Satterfield, handles the play calling for the most part. Do you expect the offense to be run first like it has been in the past couple years? Or do you think, with a new O-line coach, no really designated offensive coordinator, do you think the fans will see anything different as far as the play calling goes?
I think as far as play calling goes, I think that I think that it's pretty balanced. I just feel like one bounces off of the other. The run game definitely opens up the pass game. That's just football 101. You got to have a good solid run game, and you got to have a good running back to get that offense going. And I feel like that's with any offense really. You have to be able to run the ball to open up the pass game, to open up the play action. To open up the play action game, and that's what we do a lot of. We like to do a lot of play action. We like to do a lot of motions and to confuse the defense and whatnot. So I definitely feel like that you have to have a strong run game to open up the pass game, and you have to have a good passing game to balance it off with the running game. Because
A couple
just
more.
watching.
A couple more, and we'll get out of here. We have Jordan Watkins here with us, Louisville wide receiver. A lot of talk has been around the defense. Scott Satterfield had a press conference today and said he thinks that this is the best defense he's had since he's been here. You go up against them, every day in practice, obviously. Are there any guys standing out on defense, that you've noticed, or just as a whole, how have you seen this defense improve, from last year to this year, or maybe just in the spring? Well, what are your thoughts on the defense?
I think our defense is solid, man. We have a solid defense this year. And I think the offense will be able to jump on the backs of the defense this year. And they'll be able to carry us to a lot of wins in games. They do a lot of schemes and a lot of things different. That confuses the offense, and because as an offense you got to be able to recover this and things like that, and because we run certain routes that are based off coverages. But I think I really think that we're going to have a really good secondary this year, and I think our D line's definitely stepping up, and Monty Montgomery at linebacker and CJ Avery, they're definitely going to carry the load, coming into the season. And I mean, we definitely have some great transfers coming in. I think KD, Kendrick Duncan, he's just outstanding. He's a big body. He can get into coverage, and he can definitely hit. That's not a question for him. And Keytrell at corner, man, he's locked down. And then you have Chandler Jones to back that up on the other side, man. They're both locked down corner. So I think of what we struggled with last year was definitely our secondary. And that sorts towards the beginning of the season, and then we definitely stepped up and picked up the ball. And I think they're just carrying on from what they picked up on last year, man, because they at the end of the season they just started locking people down, and I think that they definitely picked up on that going into spring ball. And then it's going to be fun going up against them in camp as well, as you got KD and Q who are starting to finally learn the scheme of things. And Q, that's another one from Alcorn State, man. He's a baller. He's a big body, physical, and he can also get in the coverage, and he's football smart. So, you definitely, I definitely feel like the offense will be able to piggyback off of the defense, and we can both help each other out throughout the season.
That's awesome. That's really good stuff there. Last one, and we'll get you out of here. You mentioned a few names on the defense. Is there a name on the offensive side of the ball that maybe fans don't know yet, or maybe is under the radar that you would just say is gearing up for maybe a breakout season, or maybe someone that come first game that fans will be seeing a lot of that you can maybe tell?
I definitely think, and he's had a lot of hype coming out of spring and whatnot. But I really think Tyler Harrell. I think he's due for a breakout season this season. He's been really showing big flashes and big. He's been making some big plays in the whole spring, really. He's just so fast, and that the defense has to respect his speed. But then he can also break down and get into a route as well. He can break you down that way. So I think that he's really due for a breakout season this season. And I think that you'll be hearing a lot of Tyler Harrell, aka Miami Flash, this season.
A lot. Last one. You've talked a lot about other guys. Let's focus on you for this last question here. What can fans expect from you? It seems like your production is going to increase this year. Your snaps are going to go up, all that good stuff. Are you going to be on the outside, the slot? Where do you see yourself fitting in this year in the offense?
I think you'll see a lot of me on the outside. On the inside, I'm pretty much a dual threat. As far as what I can do on the field, I'm really versatile, so I know the whole offense. You can put me in the slot, you can put me on the outside, and I can still hurt a defense that way. So I think throughout the season, you'll definitely be seeing me pretty much everywhere on the field. I'm not really designated to one spot. So I'm pretty much like a I don't know what they call them, little knife things that you
Swiss Army knife.
yeah, Swiss Army knife. I can hurt you in many different ways. You just don't know which way's coming.
All right, Jordan, well, we appreciate it. Again, this is the first episode of the Jordan Watkins Show. We'll be airing live once a week, most likely on Monday nights. So be tuned next Monday for the episode 2. If you have any questions you would like Jordan to answer, reach out to us on cardinalsports.com website. And we will be back next week. Jordan, thanks again.
Yeah, no problem, man. I'm super excited for this show, and I'm super excited to be able to interact with the fans on a weekly basis.
Awesome, Jordan. Thanks again.